You're welcome to this video where I'll be showing you how to do payroll computation, calculation of personal income tax, also known as P.A.Y.E, and filing of P.A.Y.E with FCT IRS, that's Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Services. Now, this training is designed to take you through how to compute the payroll and to do the filing process. Now this similarly applies to other state internal revenue services. So we are going to be assuming that we are trying to do a payroll computation for a company called ABC Limited, and this is their staff payroll, as you can see on my screen. And we are assuming for the purpose of this training that ABC Limited has just two staff, the finance manager and the admin officer. And it's for the purpose of this training. Now, based on their employment contracts and the terms of their employment, the finance manager has a basic allowance, or what we call a basic salary of 150,000, housing allowance of 100,000, transport allowance of 90,000, and a medical allowance of 60,000. Now this gives his gross salary of 400,000. So likewise, the admin officer, these are the details, and this gives a gross salary of 350,000. So how do we do the computation and the calculation of personal income tax, or P.A.Y.E? So now there's a template that does the P.A.Y.E computation for you. Now, if you need me to share this template with you, you could drop a comment for me in the comment section of this video, or send me a message, a WhatsApp message, or a text message, so I could share this with you. Now, this is the template. So in this template, what we are required to do first and foremost is to enter the details of the staff's gross salary. So we'll be starting with the finance manager. So here, in this column here, we're going to be entering the basic monthly allowance, the housing allowance per month, the transport allowance per month, the medical allowance per month. So this column will automatically calculate for the year. That's annual for the year. So I'm going to enter the details now. So the finance manager has a basic allowance of 150,000, housing 100, transport 90 and 60. So I'm going to enter those details here. So this is 150,000, 100,000, 90,000, 60,000. So this gives you his total gross income of this amount. This is his gross income. So this table has calculated, we know from this table that the gross is 400. If you calculate from here to here. Now this has calculated the gross for the year. Like I told you, this is what this column calculates. You take this times 12, this times 12, this times 12 to give you this, and so forth till this point here. So this is his gross income. Now, this template has what we call the gross income and the new gross. Now, to arrive at the new gross, this figure is being added to the gross income to get this. So how do we get this figure? Now, this figure is the same figure you see here. It's the annual employee pension contribution for the staff. And what's that? It's 8% of the total of his basic housing, transport, and medical allowance for the year. 8%. That's what you can see here by this formula written close to the word pension. It will give you this. So it's been added to this to give you what we call the new gross. Now this template is assuming that the only deduction or the deductions that these staffs of this company are entitled to are just pension. Now you might be in a case where other deductions come in, such as the National Housing Fund, NHIS. So all those will be calculated. So like for instance, NHF is National Housing Fund is 2.5% of the basic. of the annual basic allowance for the year. You get the figure here. So that's how, because we have the only deduction here. So this one adds the pension. It adds the pension here. So the pension is being added to get this. Only the pension is being added to get this. To have your gross, we're adding back this exemption. We're adding back this exemption is being added here to get this amount. So this will give you your new gross by the time you add. So your new gross now, is going to be this minus this pension. This will be your new gross. It's not added, it's this minus this. This gives you the new gross. Now, there's what we call the tax-free pay. Now, this is the amount that is exempted from tax out of this new gross income of the staff. Now, how do we get this figure? Now, this template is customized to calculate this for you, but it is the total of all. If I double click on it, it adds all the deductions. Now, apart from the pension, there's what we call consolidated relief and allowance, called CRA. Now, that CRA, it takes the higher of 1% of the employee's gross income. That's 1%. It's going to take 1% of this new gross and compare it with 20% of this gross plus 200,000. Let me take that again. So two calculations are being done here and a comparison is being made. The first calculation that is being done is to take 1% of this, you get the figure, you note that aside. That's how when you are doing the manual calculation. You now do 20% of this figure. Whatever you get, you add 200,000 to it. Whatever answer you get, you compare it with the 1% of this figure. Whichever is higher is what comes in as your consolidated relief and allowance. I think I will rename this to CRA, but this is an allowance called CRA, consolidated relief and allowance. So this is the figure. So your tax-free pay is made up of that allowance and all exemptions, such as pensions, national housing fund, life assurance. So this is the sum of every exemption and all reliefs that the staff is entitled to. It's what is called the tax-free pay. Now, how do we get the taxable income of the staff for the year? It's simply the difference between this gross and the tax-free pay. We give you the amount that is taxable. So from the amount that is taxable now, it now gives us the calculation of the P.A.Y.E per annum, personal income tax for the year. So there is a schedule, a table that is being used to do that computation. Now, if you are familiar with personal income tax computation in taxation, as far as taxation in Nigeria is concerned, you will understand what this table does. But I'm going to explain that for you. So what the table does is, for the first 300,000 of this taxable income, 7% is calculated and it gives you 21,000. The next 300,000 will be calculated at 11% to give you this. It means so far we've calculated tax for 600. Now the next 500,000 is calculated at 15% and gives you 75. Now if you add this plus this plus this, it gives you 1.1 million. Assuming that person's taxable income is 1.1, so the computation of tax will end at this point. So his P.A.Y.E for the year will be the sum of this, this and this. But because his taxable income is 3.3 million, so he'll keep taking, it's now going to take the next 500 at 19%, it gives you this. The next 1.6 at 21% gives you this. Now whatever is left from, by the time you add this from here right up to this point, whatever is left, that is, you take this now minus this from here to here, it's going to give you a balance of this. Whatever balance is left after you've taken the first 300, the next 300, the next 500, the next 500, and the next 1.6, whatever is left is charged at 24%, is what gives you this amount as tax. So this is the personal income tax or the P.A.Y.E for the year. So to get per month, you now take divided by 12, it's going to give you this. Now, So on this table here, this table now shows statutory contributions. Statutory contributions now. Like I said, because the only contributions we are doing here, I think this should be plus medical. This should be plus medical based on this. This should be plus medical. The only statutory contribution is the pension here. So this is pension now. Now this place calculates employer pension contribution, which is 10% of the basic housing, transport, and medical. Now, according to IAS 19, we have what we call defined contribution scheme and defined benefit scheme. Now, the defined contribution scheme is what applies here. And according to the defined contribution scheme, the employee contributes 8% of his gross salary into a pension fund, while the employer contributes 10% of his gross salary into the pension fund. So the employer pension contribution is what is being calculated here to give you 40,000. This is per month. Remember, the his gross monthly salary is 400,000. So 10% gives you 40. So now let's go to this sheet that calculates. This is the employee pay slip now. This is where you will see the employees take home or the net salary. Now this cell now is showing you the monthly salary 400. Now this figure is being the two sheets are linked. This figure is calculating. If I double click, it has taken what is being done here now. It has taken the sum of this gross income divided by 12, which is the monthly gross as it's supposed to be. So this is the monthly gross. Now we now have deductions. Like I said, the only statutory deduction, this sheet is customized to make the deductions and arrive at the take home. So the deductions here are, for the purpose of this training, we are assuming is only the pension. Now this pension, 32,000, is the employee pension contribution for the month. That's 8% of this 400,000. 8% of 400,000 is what this has been. So remember, look at the formula, it's already customized for you. It's what gives you this. So this is the deduction, yes. So now, if the employee has taken a loan and there's an agreement for how that loan will be deducted from his salary every month, you are going to put the figure here. We're assuming that there's no loan deduction here. So we leave this place blank. Then this is the personal income tax as calculated on this first sheet per month. This is it. This is the figure that comes in here. So the take home of the employee at the end of the day now is this 400,000 minus his employee pension contribution for the month minus his personal income tax for the month. This is what this person, the finance manager, will be taking as take home for the year. Now you've done the computation, you have your take home, you have the employee's P.A.E. So now the next step now is paying. Now we've done this is for the finance manager. Now let's quickly do for the admin manager. Then now I will now show you how to go about making the payment for the personal income tax and the filing process. Now let's do for the finance manager. So I'm going to open the P.A.E. template. So each staff is supposed to have this template. So now let's enter the details for the finance manager. So if I go back to my Excel, the details are 125 for basic allowance, so 125,000 for basic allowance, 95,000 for housing allowance, 75,000 for transport allowance, and 55 for medical allowance. So I'm going to enter that details, 75,000 and 55,000. Okay, that gives you a gross monthly salary of 350,000. Now, the same explanation, I I made for the finance manager applies here. So by the time you've imputed these figures, what we'll have, I'm not going to go through explaining this, I just did that for the finance manager. The same explanation I did for the finance manager applies here. So this is the P.A.E. per annum, and this will be the P.A.E. for the month. So this is it. Now for the take-home sheet, this is going to be, is like we all know, this is the gross monthly salary. This is the employee pension contribution, which is 8% of this monthly salary. Now this is the P.A.E. as computed on this sheet. And by the time you deduct this from this, deduct this pension contribution and this P.A.E., you are left with the take home of this. So this means that according to this schedule, a staff with a monthly salary of 350,000 ends up with a 280,000 as his take home. This is what he receives in his or her account as salary at the end of the month. So now, having gotten these two details for these two staff, let's go now to make, how do we make these payments now? To make this payment, we need to first of all fill a template. Now, let me show you how this template for FCT IRS, how it looks like. So I'm going to open that template. So this is the template. Okay. So this is the template here from FCT IRS. Now, it's a P.A.E. sheet where we'll enter the details of our staff here. We'll enter the details of our staffs here. We're going to enter their details here. Now, so the very first staff, the name of the first staff is Abu Paul. We'll enter the details here. Now, when you are registering your company at the state level, for in this case now with FCT IRS, each of the staff will need to fill a form that will be used to generate their tax identification number. So each staff is required to have a tax identification number. It's a number we are going to enter here. So we're going to assume an arbitrary number here, which stands for the tax TIN number. So now we're going to enter the gross here now. The gross salary is what we are going to enter here. Now, this gross is what we'll pick from here. And let's go back to this. Let me go back to, for the finance manager. Let me go back. Is this gross? This gross is what I'm picking here. Is this gross I'm picking here? I'm going to pick 480,000, 4,800,000. Other incomes. If there are other incomes here, the consolidated relief and allowance, I'm going to enter it here. So I'm going to pick all these details from this Excel sheet. This is 1,083,200, 1,083,200. So I'll now enter, here is where you enter under other reliefs, NHIS, NHF, pension. So you add them together and enter them here. But on this, for this purpose of this training, we are assuming that the only relief here is the pension. So we're going to enter the employee pension for the year. Mind you, for the year. So I'll pick that figure here. This is the figure here, 384,000. Now come and pick 384,000. Chargeable income. What's the chargeable income for the year? The chargeable income, which is the same as taxable income, is this figure. I'm going to enter here. So then the taxable pay for the month, I'll get that from this my templates, 49,322.69. 49,322.69. So that's then tax authorities, FCT IRS. So if, for instance, Lagos Internal Revenue Service has a similar template like this, you fill this template the way it is it's customized to be, then the tax authority, for instance, here could be LIRS, Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. So, but I'm assuming I'm doing this training for the company is based in FCT, so I'm writing the FCT IRS here. So for the next person, which is the admin officer, I'll enter the name here, John. What's the name again? The name is John Abel. So I'm going to enter John Abel here. Abel. So you enter his TIN number. So I'm just assuming an arbitrary TIN number here. Then the gross salary, get it from our template. The gross salary is 4,200,000. So I'm entering the gross salary here, 4,200,000. Then this consolidated relief and allowances. So I'll get that from here because it's 972,800, 972,800, 972,800. Other reliefs. So I'll come here. The other reliefs only pension is 336,000. I'm going to pick that figure, 336,000. 336,000. So chargeable income, I'll equally get that from here. The chargeable income is 2,891,200. 2,891,200. So then the taxable pay, what is the tax that it pays at the end of the month? It's 41,262.67. 41,262.27. Okay, so we have that 0.67. I beg your pardon, 0.67. So now it means for the month, this is what you are liable to pay. The companies, the staffs are liable to pay as personal income tax for the month. So having gotten this figure now, we'll fill this schedule. We now need to proceed with making of payments. Now, there are two to four ways of making payment for P.A.Y.E. Now, you could choose to pay by check, or you could pay by cash deposit. Now we're going to assume for the purpose of this training that we're going to be paying by check. So how do you go about paying by check now? Now follow me, because we are in the process of making the payment and filing. Now we'll now go to, let me open. Now let's assume this is a sample of a check, company check, that I want to fill for the purpose of making this payment to FCT IRS. So how do I fill this check now? Now in this place here, you're going to enter the date. Now let's assume we are making this payment at the 30th of January 2022. We enter your date here. Then this place for pay, you just enter FCT. Let me format this. Let me make the font color to be black. Okay, you enter FCT IRS. Now you could choose to write it in full. You write FCT IRS like this, that's fine. Then pay the sum of, this is where you enter the amount in what? Now this is just basic filling of check. So I'm just going to do this because of the purpose of this training. So it is 90,585. So I'm going to enter. So I want my text to be here. So 90,000 90,585 85 naira. How many kobo? 36 kobo. 36 kobo. Now I'm just showing this you what I'm trying to point out here is you just fill in FCT IRS. Every other details is normal details that you fill in when you are filling a check. So here, just enter the figure here, and whoever is a signatory to the check is going to sign. There's a provision to sign here, and there's a provision to sign here on the check. So if you are making this payment, if you're an accountant, always, and you are, maybe your boss requires you to fill the check after you've done the computation. After filling, whoever is a signatory to the check has to sign here, and equally has to sign here. So that's that about filling the check. Now we filled this form, and we filled our check. We filled our check. Now we now need to, assuming we now need to generate a remitter to be able to make this payment. So the next step is generation of remitter to make payment. So how do we generate remitter? So let me go to my Google. Let me go to Google. Let me go to Google. So I'll browse Remita.net. Now Remita.net now. So this is where you're browsing the relevant revenue service. So if it is Lagos Internal Revenue Service, you type it here. So because we are doing this part of this training, we are filing to FCT IRS. So I'll just type Federal Capital So it's going to, so this is what I want to select, the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service. I've selected that. So it's going to take me to another page where I'm going to enter the details of the payment. So here now, purpose of service, and I'll select pay as you earn. So you enter the address of the company. Let's just enter plot 111 Green Hill Estate, Maitama, for instance, Abuja. Then payment period, you are paying as a let's say you are paying for let's just assume you enter the, if you have whatever month you are entering here, I can't go backward. Let me just assume I want to pay for, we are paying for 31st, at the 31st of, this will not allow me. Let me enter 3/1. Yeah, this is just the way you select your date. Let's say you want to make payment for, we are assuming we are making payment for the end of the month. This is where you just select it. It just says 31st August 2023. We want to make pay for this month. So you are choosing the period, the month in which you are making payment. This is where you enter the details. You now enter the details of the TIN number of your organization. Now, this company is based in Abuja, so they are supposed to have an FCT IRS TIN number. That's what you enter here. You enter the amount to pay here. Once you enter the TIN number correctly here, what you do next is you enter the amount you want to pay. I think that's 90,585.36. So if I enter this TIN number correctly here, automatically the name of the company will pop up here, and the registered phone number of that company with FCT IRS will automatically pop up here, the email address. I will now click I'm not a robot and submit. Right? If I click submit, it's going to take me to a page where I'm going to choose. Do I want to do bank transfer? Do I want to pay by cash? So since I'm paying by check, I'm going to choose bank branch. You see 3 columns. Columns for bank transfer, payment of card, and payment of bank branch. Since you are taking a check, you select bank branch. It's going to generate a remitter code for you. So you are going to take that code, that remitter code. Normally, I think it's a 12-digit number. You generate a code for you. You will now take that code together with the check you have filled and this form. Okay, since you are going to the bank, you just take that number, write that number somewhere, or print out that remitter form. It's going to generate a remitter form for you by the time you click submit and choose that you are paying by bank branch. That bank branch will generate a remitter for you, instructing you that you can go to any bank and pay. Now what you do is you copy down that number or print out that sheet. Go to the bank with your check already filled. Once you get to the check, you take a deposit slip and you now fill the details. Fill the details of what you are paying, the amount you are paying, and at the top of the deposit slip, fill that code, that remitter code, IRR code, fill it, fill the details, and on the deposit slip where you are being asked account you are depositing to, you just write FCT IRS. You fill the details of the depositor. Since it is you, the accountant, that is going to make the payment, you fill in your phone number. You now fill in other details like the total amount, this total amount, and place for where you are depositing to. You fill in FCT IRS. You now submit at the bank to the bank teller. The payment will be made to you. Once that payment is being made to you, once the payment is made, the bank will give you a receipt, generate a receipt, print out and give to you. Now, it's with that printout now that you will now take the printout together with this form to remit to FCT IRS. So once you get that printout from the bank and this form filled, you will need to go with a company letterhead. A company letterhead stating that you want to file returns, PAYE for the following staff. It's just a simple letter that you state the address. I think let me see if I have a sample of that letter, sample of what the letter looks like. If I don't have, then I could share with you later. It's a simple letter that states that the address of the FCT IRS office and the heading, which is normally filing of PAYE for the month of this. You now state that you want to file personal income tax for the following staff. Below are the list of their names and their tax identification number. Then your name and signature. So it has to be on a company letterhead. So together with your check and this table, this document which you print out after filling on Excel, you print out, is what you take to FCT IRS for the filing process. So that is that for filing. Now, because we are talking about payroll computation, I equally want to show you now how do you pay pension for your staff. Now let me open a schedule. There's a pension schedule equally for payment of pension for staff. Let me open that. So this is the pension schedule. So we are assuming that this company, the pension managers for this company is Stanbic IBTC. So you just fill this form. The period you are paying the pension for let's assume it is August 2023, the month you are paying for. You enter the name of the pension managers, the bank in which this pension manager has an account with. This is entered. The name of your employer, in this case we enter ABC Nigeria Limited. You now fill this table. So you enter the name of your employees here, their staff ID. Each employee that has a pension account has what we call a pension, a PIN number. You enter it here. Now, remember your PAYE template has calculated two things for you. It calculated employer pension contribution. Like for the case of, let me see the case of this finance manager now. His employer pension contribution is 40,000. Is what you take, is this figure you enter under employer contribution. Then the employee pension contribution, as calculated by this template here, it's 32,000. So let me just fill one for you so that you see what I'm saying. So I'll come employee 32,000, employer 40,000. You enter the person's name, all the details here. Then this will be like the sum of both employee and employer. So let me just do this. So this is for Abu was the name of the finance officer. Let me get that name. Abu Paul and John Abel. Abu Paul. We now have John Abel. So we now enter their staff ID. Let's just assume the ID is ABC112. So let's call this ABC145. Now enter the PIN here. So for the admin officer, let me get the employee pension and employer pension for the month. Let me get those details. So I will come here. Let me get those details. So let me come to Abel. So I have it here. So employer pension contribution is 35,000. Employee pension contribution is 28,000. Okay, 35 and 28. So this is 35. 28,000. So I equally have the sum. So you have this schedule now. You filled in this schedule. Everything is filled. Remember, you still enter this amount here. This is 135,000. Let's assume we are paying for the period of, let's just assume August, or let's say July. This is July 2023. So you enter their, remember to enter their PIN here. Now you now print out this form. Now when you're making pension contribution for the, you need to print this form. You need to go with 3 copies of this form together with a check you are going to fill. So let me quickly show you how you're going to fill the check. Now for the check, you now come in here. The only thing I'm going to show you is, this is just a normal filling of check, the normal way you fill check. But I just want to emphasize, in this place where you see pay to, you enter the name of your pension manager. So in this case, and you will get the name to fill here from the deposit slip. So I think for Stanbic IBT's pension, which is the case we are using here, I'll enter ZPC. Let me format this to be black. Okay. ZPC/IBTC pension. You now enter the total amount. The total amount on that schedule is 135,000. So I'll just enter 135,000 here. 135,000 here. I'll now fill the amount in words on the check, the date. So I'll now carry the check together with this, the check together with this form, the printout of this schedule, 3 copies, and the check. When you get to the bank, you now take a deposit slip and fill the details of everything you need to fill. You now make the payment, and that will mean you have paid pension for the staff for the period. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you found value in this video, please comment, like, share, and please subscribe to the channel so that I will share, so that you receive notifications once I share other videos that are educative. Thank you very much for watching. It's Anene Callistus here, and do have a fantastic day.